Good morning, stock traders, and welcome back to Stock Traders Talk Radio. I'm your host, Stock Sumo. Thanks for joining us on another wonderful Wednesday. Today's September 26th, 2012. You know what time it is, folks. It's time to look through the markets as we get ready to rock. So open up your charts, turn on those scanners, and fire up your trading accounts. We're going to be rocking out today like we do every day, and today's no different than any other day. Yesterday, another good day. Today should be another good day. How about PPHM? For those of you that haven't tuned in before, PPHM is a stock that we've been talking about for a couple of days. We had it on our scanner pre-market Monday. We saw the big gap down and had a big day Monday. Yesterday, PPHM smashed through Monday's highs, ended up closing real strong, hit a high like $1.80 yesterday. Already this morning you can see it trading at $1.71 by $1.74. Little gap up here this morning. Definitely going to keep an eye on Peregrine Pharmaceuticals, PPHM. How about a play? How about that play? Boy, any of those listeners out there tuning in, if you want to give us a call, share your thoughts with us on air, you're more than welcome. Give us a shout. The call-in number is 347-215-7181. Again, it's 347-215-7181. I usually have my co-host Hoss running alongside me in the mornings.
I'm actually with you here, Stock Sumo. It's actually my my visuals that are frozen. So just letting you know.
There he is. What's happening, Hoss? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. I was just listening to you babble about PPHM, and I thought you were doing a damn fantastic job.
Yeah, that play has just been dandy. It was pretty much a no-brain call. Let's just pull up the chart and see what we're talking about here with PPHM. All right. So as you can see, had this big run from June up until just a couple days ago. Last week it closed at 550. And like I said, it was pretty much a no-brain call for us. We seen the stock gapping down heavy pre-market on Monday. And that's when we hit it on our scanner, said, hey, this is definitely oversold. This is going to present a good bounce play opportunity. And sure enough, it opened at 80 cents on Monday, and the thing just rocketed all the way up to the 100-day moving average where it had some resistance. Now, yesterday we got above that 100-day moving average, which was key, and I want to see that hold as support. That was at $1.59, so I'd like to see $1.59 hold as support. Our next key resistance is going to be that 50-day moving average, sitting at $2.63. Do you have anything that you want to add on PPHM?
Not a ton, no. I mean, it's just kind of funny watching the share price rebound so dramatically with 3 announcements of investigations from different law firms. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple more of those investigations announced today, but basically, you're talking about a stock that ran up to $5 on some pretty good clinical trial data. So obviously the drug works and it's got a bright future. And this is one of like 10 clinical trials they got going on, one of 5 with this specific drug. So a bounce was definitely in order. It was a no-brainer, as you said.
Cool. Good stuff there. I got a little stock that I wanted to do a little mini spotlight on, and I'm just going to run with it. I don't know if I got the approval from STT. He's he's the man behind the curtain, and he usually okays everything. But however, he's not around today, so I'm just gonna go with this one. Let's
roll with it.
take a look at GLRP, Glen Rose Petroleum. Okay, Now, the reason why this one hit my scanner was the recent increase in volume. You can see recently there's been some volume picking up in the stock, and it had a little bit of a move yesterday, moved up 50%, but it looks like it's at a bottom down here, and it looks like it's just starting to see some bounce action. Look at the history of the stock. Back in 2012 in February to April, it had a support level around 20 cents, and it had bounced off that 20-cent mark a couple times, ran as high as 35 and 36 cents off of that support level. So this thing caught my attention as a result of some recent increased volume. I was doing a little bit more digging, looking at some filings, and we'll go right over to those. Looking at the filings, you can see quite a few Form 4s. Now, just in case you don't know what a Form 4 is, a Form 4 is a requirement from the SEC that a reporting company has to disclose if their insiders are buying or selling shares in the market. Now, you look at these Form 4s and you go to securities acquired, which is A, or disposed of, which is D. And clearly these are acquired because you got the A here. So this was back in June. An insider, Theodore Williams, bought 60,000 shares and 92,655 shares. And notice that he acquired the stock at 32 cents, which is significantly above the current market value. And that wasn't the only Form 4. There's plenty other Form 4s here. In fact, let's scroll down and take a look at how far back they go. All the way back to November. So we're going back almost a whole year now. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Form 4s filed for GLRP in the past year. A lot of insider buying going on, in my opinion. And not just my opinion, just go look at the filings and take it for what it's worth. But I think that's a good indication. Usually when insiders are purchasing shares out of the open market, they believe in their company and they believe that the share price is going higher. That's why they're buying stock out of the market, because they think they're going to get a good return on their investment. And who knows the company the best? The insiders. So definitely want to put GLRP on our watch list. Looking at the level 2 pre-market, looks pretty thin there. 7.5 cent bid by 10 cent offer. You got two offers at 10 cents. After the 10 cents, it goes to 16 cents. So if we see some continued volume on this GLRP, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. The chart that I was looking at, I need to pull up a shorter time frame here, get a better idea of these indicators. Let's go to a 6-month, and we'll do a weekly instead of a daily. Okay, looking at the 6-month weekly chart, you can see that the stock has had resistance at the 20-day moving average. And currently the 20-day moving average is at 15.6 cents. If the stock can break above that resistance mark, that'll be a very good sign. And it's trying to find support here. See this big volume pickup, big volume increase. It's hitting new lows. Let's see if it can hold support at that nickel level. Definitely going to keep my eye on GLRP. Anybody have any other stocks that they want to talk about? Haas, what do you got for us this morning, bud?
I got lots of stuff to talk about, but I actually want to comment on this one. I like where you're going with it. I just want to pull up DD Amanda first, just to give some people a visual on what sort of dollar volume we've been seeing on this bad boy. As you can see, real quiet stock. Sumo was talking about this thing upwards of 20, 30 cents not too long ago on relatively low volume. And, we've had a relatively low volume other than the last 2 trading days. And then all of a sudden on September 24th, we see a $104,000 day. The share price went down quite a bit that day, but, sometimes that can cause a capitulation of sorts where, the stock starts getting attention. Obviously, there was a seller there that day, but, there's various reasons for that type of selling. And you mentioned all the Form 4s. Tons of Form 4s up in the 30-cent area. And a key note about that is, we've seen very low dollar volumes. So likely those insiders are holding tight onto those shares that they were purchasing with some direct acquisitions of those shares up at 30 cents. So that's definitely a good sign. And this $100,000 day rate here kind of makes one wonder what's coming. So definitely a good time to put your eyes on this one. As far as DD Manda and the dollar volume is concerned, to see if we get any sort of updates from the company. But another couple things to note, stop sign on pink sheets. So hopefully sometime in the near future here, they start updating their filings, get to current information so we can get a better idea of share structure and what they have going on currently. Outstanding share count as of February 21st, 2012, we see it's about just over 32 million shares, so the share structure is not too bad. Puts us at a market cap of about $2.5 million as of yesterday. And just their website, or the website that it links to off of Pink Sheets, is currently under construction. So another thing we want to be looking for is for them to pop out a new website. Who knows? They could be completely changing business direction for all we know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wanted to point that out too. Good, bad, or ugly, we point it all out here.
Oh, well, with a stock like this, you have to. But, a key thing to keep in mind is a lot of shares acquired upwards of 30 cents, and it doesn't look like any selling of those shares has happened to date, unless some of those shares were included in that $100,000 day we saw 2 days ago. But that's at about 33% of the value that those shares were purchased at, so likely not selling up there. Or down here, I should say. So definitely want to put your eyes on. I like it, Sumo. Nice catch.
Good stuff. All right, take it away. Bring on something else, bud. I know you got some other stocks of interest that we need to discuss.
Yeah, we can talk about a few here. One that I just want to bring up just for the sake of this stock coming off of a DTC chill, which was removed post-market yesterday as per press release. AER Energy Resources Incorporated, ticker is AERN. Closed at 0011 yesterday. Anytime a chill is removed, shows that management's taking care of their crap. So definitely want to put your eyes on today. They also announced a change in management post-market yesterday. So company making some significant changes. So probably worth going and doing some more in-depth due diligence. Let's go into some news for today. Stock that's been pretty hot. We actually caught this one off the level 2 screen a couple of days ago before it pretty much doubled intraday over the penny mark. Kind of hung up here yesterday as well, as you can see, fluctuating between 1 and 1.4, but closing near the low of day, near that 1 cent mark. We'll see if that can hold out of the gates today. There are been various newsletters out on this. I haven't actually checked the disclaimers to see if anyone's paid for this or not, but they've definitely been putting out news on an almost daily basis over the course of the last week or so. But closed at 1 cent yesterday. Just this morning, Amaranthus Biosciences announces publication of positive animal data for the MAN-F in myocardial infarction. So just a publication out for the company, research results and whatnot. So if you want to keep your eyes on, see if it can hold in Pennyland here. CPRX, whoops. Can't type this morning. CPRX, I believe that one was one we was trying to show a couple times. It's actually gapping down pretty heavily this point. Might be one to watch for a potential bounce. and they put out press related to the timing of some of their data for their clinical trial results, and obviously the market didn't like it. I'm assuming some sort of delay, so let's go check this out. Catalyst Pharmaceutical Partners, Inc., ticker CPRX, announced today that it has been advised by the Department of Veterans Affairs Cooperative Studies Program, VAC-SP, that the availability of top-line results from Catalyst CPP-109 Phase 2B trial for cocaine addiction will be delayed. Looks like now they're expecting to provide top-line results during the first half of November 2012 versus what was probably supposed to be at some point in September of 2012. So you got about a half-month delay there. So it might be a good time to maybe catch a little dip, considering it's only a half-month delay, but we'll see. And then they just go into some details about the actual treatment itself for cocaine addiction. So go check that one out. MCUJ. Another sub-penny stock. Oh, never mind. Actually closed at 2.82 cents yesterday. No idea what I'm talking about. Again, MCUJ Medicure Incorporated putting out some press this morning. Let's go check that out. Medicure Incorporated is pleased to announce the development of a transdermal delivery formulation of its lead drug, Aggrastat. The ability to administer a drug transdermally provides a convenient way to deliver a stable therapeutic level of medication to the patient. Looks like this is Aggrastat and other antiplatelet drugs of its class are currently only administered by intravenous infusion. Let's see if they go into anything else here. Not a whole lot going on. Anyways, yeah, that's for the treatment of various heart conditions, anti-clotting drugs, antiplatelet drugs. So some good news out for MCUJ, Medicure Incorporated.
I got a little scanner hitting the scanner scans.
Oh boy. Shoot.
Let's check this one out. You're going to like this too. It's a pharmaceutical play. Sucampo? SCMP is the ticker symbol. You familiar with this one, Haas?
The ticker I'm familiar with. The company, no.
There's so many of these pharmaceutical plays out there, but every time we see one gapping up on the scanner, we got to make a mention of it. This one's gapping up 13.69% this morning. Last trade at $5.15 on 36,000 shares. Looking at the chart, you can see there's a huge gap to fill. Look at this big gap down. Beginning of July, this had a nice support level right here off of the 660. And boom, you see the gap down. Not sure why it lost the support here, but you've seen the huge gap down from the $6.50 range, fell below the 200-day moving average, and dropped from $6.50 down to $5, and continued to fall until it found support off of 378. Got a nice rebound off that 378. Ran into some resistance at the 20-day moving average. Had a bit of a consolidation, but boom, once she broke through that 20-day moving average, had a nice climb all the way up to 521, where it pulled back, found support, and this morning we're seeing a gap up. What do you got for us on SCMP, Hobbs?
We have FDA priority review announcement as of post-market yesterday. So not during market hours yesterday. Sucampo Pharmaceuticals, Inc. and Takeda Pharmaceuticals announced that the U.S. FDA has granted priority review of their supplemental new drug application filing. The SNDA was filed in late July seeking approval for an additional indication for Amitiza for the treatment of opioid-induced constipation in patients with chronic non-cancer pain. Looks like as a result of the priority review, Sucampo and Takeda expect the FDA's decision by late January 2013. So basically, we'll have a quicker decision on approval for Amitiza. See if they got a website. Can check out the rest of their pipeline if they got anything else going on here. the website actually loads. Here we go. Products. Looks like this Amitiza is about the only drug they have in trials right now, and for the indication of constipation. So that's what I got for it. Let's see what kind of a share structure we got on this bad boy. Looks like outstanding about 42 million shares, float under 10 million shares, which is pretty nice, but sitting at about 190 million market cap as of the close yesterday at about 450.
Cool.
Apparently constipation is a large market.
Yeah, you don't want to get that blocked up. All right, here's another pharmaceutical play. RNN hitting the scanner. Rexon Pharmaceuticals. Robert Nancy is the symbol, and it's up 17.17%, trading at 58 cents. RNN. Let's take a quick peek at the chart. And this one has made some nice bounces in the past. You can see it's in July, it saw a low of 29 cents before it ran at 81 cents, slid back to find support off the 50-day moving average and bounced off that. Now we're seeing another bounce with today's gap up. Key levels of resistance are going to be 61 and 67.5 cents. Those are our previous swing highs. What do you got for RNN? What kind of drugs are these guys into, Haas?
Well, we can check that out in a second, but they did put out some press this morning. For whatever reason, the iHub is not picking it up quite yet, but there are posts on the iHub that actually link to this particular news release. So I got it up on my screen here. Rexon Pharmaceuticals, Inc., clinical stage pharmaceutical company commercializing potential best-in-class oncology and central nervous system therapeutics, today announced that the European Patent Office has granted European patent number blah blah to Rexon, entitled 5, 6, or 7 substituted blah 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 derivatives as anti-tumor agents. So basically they got a patent. Cancer agents, anti-cancer agents, I should say. Now let's go check out their website here, see what else they got in the pipeline. Give me a second here. Let's see what portfolio they got going on. Looks like they got some phase 2 trials going for Arkexin, an AKT inhibitor, and various RX drugs. I don't know exactly what those are, but I'm assuming most of these are for anti-tumor type clinical trial programs. Most of them are in the preclinical stage. Got one in phase 1 up here, one in phase 2 here. For the central nervous system indication, we have Serdaxin and Zoraxil. Those are both, looks like, in between the phase 2, phase 3, so whether they need funding or whatnot to enter into phase 3 trials for depression and erectile dysfunction. I'm sure we can go check that out in press releases if you want to. Yeah, not too shabby.
We're getting a question from the chat room. Macca Jordan. I'm not sure if he's a Michael Jordan wannabe or how he got that name, Macca Jordan, but hey, who knows? It could be his name. But he's wanting to know about Zero. And I'll tell you, this Zero went from being a hero to a zero like overnight. Yesterday, huge down day, lost 64.5% of its share price. Looking at the chart, you can see this thing had a hell of a run. Ran from 32 cents back in May, June area, all the way up to $1.92 where it hit its high, and boom, you're seeing the tank. This could set up like a PPHM. I'm not saying that the bounce is going to be that good, but it looks like a dead cat bounce in the making here. This morning we got a gap up of 10%. Now, yesterday it pulled back and it found support off of that 200-day moving average. This is a textbook bounce scenario, and it bounced off of that, and it ended up closing above the 50-day moving average. So this is a good pullback, and it held support off the moving averages. This next key resistance is going to be that 20-day moving average at 86 cents. This morning it's trading at 75 cents pre-market. Going to be watching zero for a possible bounce play. Definitely not saying that it's going to bounce as hard as PPHM, but it's just a similar type of setup that we're seeing here with the chart. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, this one's an interesting one. It was beasting there for a couple of days. They put out a nice shareholder letter related to a meeting, a shareholder meeting that they recently had. It's got lots of details about the company and what they got going on. They just put that out post-market. Wait, I shouldn't say post-market. I should say, yeah, post-market yesterday. Never mind, I'm looking at the wrong time here. But some pretty good stuff. Developer of applied solutions for oil and fuel delivery systems. Looks like they're making some nice connections throughout the North America and also elsewhere. So it'll be an interesting one to watch. I think it could provide a nice bounce opportunity if that selling stops.
I have a stock that I wanted to mention, and I'm surprised we didn't catch this one yesterday. MIMV. Some big news out with Microsoft or IBM or one of the two. I'm not sure. I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm just going to discuss the chart real quick. But MIMV had a huge volume day yesterday. You could see the big volume bar. And boom, PPS exploded. Big gain yesterday, 111% to the upside. Ended up closing at the high of day, or just shy of the high of day actually. The high of day was 58 cents, closed at 57 cents. Now the key thing about this one is it hasn't been this high since April, where it saw a high of 60 cents. Anything above this 60-cent mark, we're going to get into blue sky breakout mode, which we're seeing this morning. Pre-market, I'm seeing a bid of 65.5 cents and an ask of 60 cents. So we're already gapping up above the previous high. And once you break previous highs, you enter what's known as blue sky breakout mode, and there's no telling where the top's going to be. Now, since we're gapping up this morning, about 7 cents, I'm going to look for a little consolidation, possibly fill that gap before it continues its uptrend. That's just one of the possibilities that could play out here after we see it open up here in 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes to the bell. Do you want to touch upon the news from MIMV, my friend?
Yeah, this is definitely worth looking at. This is good news right here. Apparently, I need to wake up this morning. Get the shit out of my mouth.
Did you have your coffee yet?
I have, actually. I have, but I definitely didn't get enough sleep. Got people making fun of me in our chat room. No good. No good. Now Haas is pissed. Anyways, let's check out this news. MIMV. MIMV Incorporated has announced that it has finalized a partnership agreement with Microsoft Corporation. Partnership will see MIMV develop a number of products and services to complement Microsoft's Windows Azure and Windows Mobile 8 platforms. The agreement also involves Microsoft making investments in MIMV in the form of engineering services, software, and cash. So Microsoft's investing in MIMV through services. Huge. Definitely probably has some room to the upside. All right, let's pull up some level 2 screens, my man.
Certainly. PPHM is definitely a favorite. This week it's just been a rock star of a stock. Gapping up this morning. Trading at 176 currently.
MV, 155,000 shares traded, up 14.2%, 65.5 cents.
UGNE hitting my scanner. UGNE. Unigene Labs.
11.9 cents is the last trade there, up 19%. 74,500 shares traded so far. Looks like they got some press releases out too. Let's go check that out.
PPHM just busted through yesterday's high. Hitting 182 right now. Hit a high day 184. Looks like it's about to take that out.
Just looks like a debt restructuring for UGNE in some way, shape, or form. And they're looking to partner for some different types of therapeutic development opportunities. All right, let's check out some of these other bad boys. AMBS, pretty quiet out of the gates. Ooh, Sugo has been getting some action the last few days. 000 Lotto stock mining. Looks pretty thick on the 0005 bid side. Got about 12 million shares sitting there. The ask side looks pretty thin, if I do say so. I've got about 200,000 shares left on the 0006. 0007 showing about 600,000 to 700,000 shares there so far. And then it jumps to the 001. So keep an eye on that one. If volume starts coming in, might make a nice move to the upside today. Let's check on
PPHM. Rocking. What you want to check on? Sorry to cut you off.
Nope, that's fine, man. PPHM can always be talked about. Now I was checking on Ginger, GNGR. Basically been on promotion every day for the last week. 600,000 shares traded so far again today, up about 9%. Closed yesterday at 12 cents. Looks like it opened at 12.1 cents today, so coming out of the gates hot. That's Gunther Grant Incorporated. They make chocolates.
Zero creeping up a little bit here this morning. We called this was a dead cat bounce. Thanks for bringing it up, Macca Jordan. Wouldn't have looked at that chart had you had not brought it up in the chat room. Zero currently trading at 78 cents. Let's see if it holds support off of today's low of 72 cents or if it wants to come back and fill the gap a little bit.
See what else we got coming across the scanner here. Not a whole lot yet. Looks like APDN still holding that upper 20s area, 27 cents right now. Still
Macca Jordan wanting to know what's up with GYST. What do you think about that one, Haas?
Check it out.
Looking at the level 2, quiet. Not really too excited about it. You got two bidders for about 115,000 shares at the bid of 007, and you got an offer of 287,000 shares. So looking at the bid and the ask looks a little thicker than the bid, so that's not too exciting. The volume has tapered off and dried up. We don't have any momentum. Not looking too good right here as of right now. Needs to hold support here at 007.
Just on the fundamental side of things, looks like back on September 17th, announcing some sales news. Companies selling silver and gold through their greystonegold.com website starting in February of 2012. Been increasing sales pretty rapidly, and they're shooting for about 100,000 in sales per month within the next 12 months. So you're looking at 1.2 million bucks from the sale of silver and gold on their website, which is decent, but it's nothing crazy. They put out some news this morning. Greystone Company announces power seller status. See what that's all about. A power seller is an eBay seller who is invited by eBay to participate in the power sellers program after sustaining a gross trading volume above a set cutoff for several months in a row. So now apparently they're a power eBay seller. Well, I wouldn't give too much credit to that, to be honest with you, and judging by the volume coming into the stock, I would say the market agrees so far. Had a huge run, lots of interest before. I think that was more so because of all the toxic financing that just hammered it down to nothing. And it just kind of got a life of its own for a little while.
PPHM is definitely where it's at. Follow the money. Trading 4 million shares today already. I like stocks that are liquid like that. You can get in and out real easy.
Got SUGO trumping upwards even more, 0006 by 0007 right now. Looks like we got about 10, 11 million shares on the 0007 and about 3 million on the bid at 0006 there. Pretty quiet yet. It's been trucking upwards over the last few days for sure. Ginger holding the 13 area, almost a million shares traded now, of 9.2%, 13.1 last trade.
Zero's getting pounded back. It just went red after gapping up this morning. Let's see how far they pound it down. Rookie in the chat room talking about how there's an article out on Seeking Alpha, and if you haven't familiarized yourself with seekingalpha.com, it's a great resource for finding out articles and information on some of the stocks that you're following, and it's a very credible source for good articles. And Rookie was mentioning in the chats that the author of the article for Zero really badmouthed it pretty hardcore. Said in his first line of the article said, "I'm shorting this stock." So
Wow.
far, whoever wrote that article looks like they're starting to see some money, starting to see some profits. If they shorted it right out of the gate in the 70s, they could be covering right here and making a quick 10%.
Got BBDA getting some action this morning. 3.2 million shares traded, up 11%. Last trade 0091. Spread's pretty wide, 0084 by 0091. Looks like we got a few large orders going through though. There's a million share Ask Smack that went through at 0091.
Apple getting pounded a little bit here. Boy, this thing has been on such a wild ride, and you have to expect the pullback. I mean, the thing just can't just go straight up and shoot to the moon. So after last week hitting about 705, we ran into some resistance. It gapped down on Monday. We're still in a downtrend. However, it found support today off of 663, and it bounced back. And right now it's trading at 669.35. So nice little bounce. Let's see if it can hold that support at 663. If it holds support in the 660s, I don't see why this thing can't stack back up and move back towards 700.
Man, markets are relatively red today, it looks like. Other than PPHM. It's like AMBS. Getting a little more action here. Let's check it out on level 2. AMBS AMBS getting some volume to the upside now, 1.4 by 1.47 cents spread, up 35% on the day. Looks like some support forming at the 1.2 cent area. Now 1.45 by 1.47 cents spread. Last trade 1.35 cents. So 1.47 tap, 1.5 is up on the ask now. There's a 1.5 tap, up 50%. Zero, 73.4 by 75 cents spread.
Came down and kissed 66 cents, bounced back. Nice little bounce there.
Do you watch the show Archer?
No, tell me about it.
Well, there's just a guy in there. It's basically a animated secret agent show with a bunch of dry, ridiculously funny humor for the people who like that kind of humor. But there's a guy in there named Ciro. I can't help but think of it every time I look at this stock.
AMBS holding up nicely for you. A nice little bounce, up 50% today. It's another good trading stock since you've been talking about it, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was a nice one. Caught it a few 100,000 shares at 005. BBDA, another million-plus share order going through, this time at 009. Up to 4.2 million shares traded on the day. You still with me, Sumo?
I'm still here, bud.
Just making sure.
Yeah, BBDA 0084 by 009. PPHM, a lot of volume flowing through. Nice volume, up to 7 million shares already traded today. The day's range was $1.73 to $1.94. Currently trading at $1.83. Man, what an awesome call off of that low of like 73 cents pre-market on Monday. Ended up opening up at 80 cents on Monday. Nailed it.
Well, in my book, you either do it right or you get eliminated.
MIMV, bouncing back. Currently trading at 69 cents. High a day is 70 cents. Looks like it's getting ready to crack that high a day. It dipped down to 60 cents this morning. And seeing some good volume, 1.25 million so far. MIMV is the #1 stock on my penny scanner with 374 trades today. We're already up to about 1.4 million in volume. Looks like it's getting ready to crack through that high a day of 70 cents. And like I said, folks, key thing about this one was once it broke 60 cents, it's now in blue sky breakout mode. Once you pass the previous high, there's no telling where the top's going to be. Just keep an eye on it. We want to see it hold support off of that 60 cents. Usually previous resistance becomes future levels of support, And boom, we just cracked through to new high a day here. 71.4 up on the offer. Looks like they're getting ready to take that out, and the bids are starting to form at 70 cents, pretty thick there. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Well, isn't that extra special?
AMBS just humped over the 1.5 cent mark, which was the last, the highest trade of the day. 1.6 up on the ask now.
What a lovely hump day. We got zero. We got MIMV. We got PPHM. Got AMBS. There's 4 nice trades right there that you could have been in and out already, making some nice profits. Remember, folks, don't get married to these things. Don't get attached. You got to treat them like your next ex. You find them, friend them, and forget them.
Ginger finally selling off a little bit. 1.5 million shares traded, 11.7 by 11.8 cents. That's why I love you. You're not afraid.
I'm sure my wife would have loved me hearing. I'm sure my wife would have loved me saying that one. MIMV saw a little resistance there, pulling back. Zero hitting new highs here.
Love it.
Love us or leave us, folks.
More bid support coming in on the 1.5 cent mark. Actually, fewer shares, but another market maker, I should say. For AMBS, excuse me. 123,000 shares on the 1.6 cent ask.
Bonanza Goldfields, BONZ, Bones, moving a little bit this morning. This thing made a nice little move last week. Oh, here goes a sub-penny mover for us. Earth Block. That's EBLC. Eddie Boy, Larry, Charlie. Do you know anything about that one, Haas?
I know they had news this morning, and actually post-market yesterday they had news. 2.4 million shares traded. Last traded 004, up 166.7%. Spread's not too enticing, 003 by 004, but it looks super, super thin. Hence the large move on about, $5,000 to $10,000 traded. Let's go check out that news. As related to an acquisition, Earthblock Technologies completes the acquisition of Earth Gen Biofuel Incorporated. Not sure exactly what they do. Let's see here. Looks like they got some Latin American and Southeastern Asian projects going on. $100 million outstanding, $2 billion authorized.
I just caught another interesting little pharmaceutical play on the old scanner. Cardiome Pharma Corp. Ticker symbol CRME. Charlie Robert Michael Eddie. It's up 14% today. Traded 782 trades on the day. That's 1.15 million in volume. Last traded at 42 cents. Let's pull up the chart because this thing has been making a strong move off of a recent bottom here. And look at this huge gap back in March, April. In between March and April, you had this huge gap down right here where it was trading above the 180, even as high as 269 earlier this year in February. And then you've seen it start to come down. There was this big gap down where it traded huge volume. Must have had some bad news. There was a big sell-off. It gapped down from $2 and tanked. It didn't find support until here recently, end of July, beginning of August, where it has been bouncing off that support level around 29-30 cents. And as of recently, you've started to see it break some of these moving averages right here when it got above the 50-day moving average right at the end of September. Right here, we got above that 50, and now we're getting above the 100-day moving average, which is at 39 cents. And I like how you got the 20-day moving average coming through that 50-day moving average. So you got a nice cross of the moving averages there. That looks good. I like the makeup of the CRME. Haas, what do you have for us as far as DD on this? What kind of drugs does this pharmaceutical company have?
It looks like they're actually in some agreement with Merck. Everyone knows Merck. And back in March, Merck decided to discontinue the development of one version of one of CardioOM's drugs. They have atrial fibrillation treatment. And basically, CardioOM had development rights for this treatment in both intravenous and oral formulations. And back in March, Merck decided to discontinue the oral formulation. But just in the news today, CardioOM Pharma Corp said Merck and company agreed to return the global marketing and development rights for both the intravenous and oral formulations of its Vernacalant treatment for atrial fibrillation. So it looks like now they have rights to develop both formulations of the drug. And it also looks like the intravenous version is already approved in about 37 countries. So good stuff.
That's the great thing about our show. We're bringing them to you live. As we find them, we unveil them to our listeners. Love seeing these pharmaceutical plays with good drugs. And this thing definitely looks like a good chart setup coming off of its bottom. The key resistance is going to be 53 cents. That was a swing high right at the beginning of July. So I'd like to see it test that 53 cents eventually, and if it can get above that, that'd be huge.
Check out FLTT on the level 2 screen. I've been mentioning this one on the boards quite a bit. That 0006 area, pretty thin. Some days are lighter volume, some days heavier volume. They put out an annual report just the other day showing about 10 million in revenues. Their margins aren't fantastic, but they're improving. Also rumors of another type of acquisition or merger announcement coming out.
How about any rumors of a reverse split?
I don't have rumors of a reverse split, but all I know is we're up over 50% since I first started mentioning the stock. So 0009 by 001 getting some volume to the upside. But as Sumo says, take your damn profits because you never know what can happen.
Yeah, I just had to throw that one out there. You know, you never know what you're going to get in Pennyland. If you see a stock that's made reverse splits in the past, you know, generally history often repeats itself. If companies are known for doing reverse splits, you got to watch out for that. Zero hitting a new high a day. Just cracked 85 cents with some nice buys there. This thing's looking strong. Nice rebound. Good call, Macca Jordan.
You just like saying that name, don't you?
Yeah, buddy. I bet you his favorite number is 23.
I wouldn't doubt it. Zero. 1.1 million shares traded, hitting new high of days at 87 cents right now.
Looking at the level 2, next resistance looks like it's going to be at 90 cents. You got, 87 cents. There's 3 market makers. They're chewing through those. Looks like the 90 cent, there was 3, but they bounced off. Let's see if it can't get above this 90 cent mark. That looks, okay, there was 4 there for a second. Looks like we're running into a little resistance here. Let's see what's going to happen. Could see a little pullback. Yep, we're seeing a pullback. That 87 cents was the resistance mark, and the bids are starting to collapse. Let's see if they can hold. Looks like the bid support is at 76 cents. You got a market maker Knight sitting there for 48,000 at 76 cents. That's looking like it's going to be our bid support.
EBLC. 006 by 0074 now. Trade high today is 006, which is now on the bid. Very thin stock, it looks like, up to that penny mark. 2.9 million shares traded now, up 300% on the day.
Holy cow, wow, that was a nice move. We caught it at 003 by 004, and already we're 6 by 74.
Yeah, this one is really, really thin.
What's the share structure on this one?
In the press release, I think it was the 2 billion AS, but 100 million outstanding share count.
Nice.
Not sure on the float.
Looking at that level 2, looks like we got about 255,000 shares on the offer, 160,000 on the bid. Looks like there's some resistance at 0098 and 0099. You got 53,000 by E-Trade and 300,000 offered by UBS.
FLTT humping the 001 by 0011 now. 30 million shares traded today.
I think that should be our word of the day. Hump day.
Hump day.
I love that you're saying that it's humping it.
I don't know, it just comes natural.
Zero pulled back a little bit, but bounced right off of 84 cents, and the bids are coming back up, looking good. See if it can get past that resistance at the high a day of 87 cents. Well, buddy, we had a jam-packed, fun-filled show today. A lot of good stocks out there. I think I'm ready to wrap it up. How about yourself?
I'm right there with you, my man. Have a safe trading day, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to Stock Traders Talk Radio. All views and topics talked about on Stock Traders Talk Radio is solely for entertainment purposes. We are not professional financial advisors and always recommend